You should play mod. Oh, you can't, huh? I can.
Normally I can.
It's my addiction on. Yeah. Let me tell you about the pain and broken home. Let me tell you
Seems loud. Okay, we about to start in 1 second. We got viewers, so just a heads up. All right, so I'm Tanya Faison. I'm with Black Lives Matter Sacramento. This is Negus' Tired Podcast. It's episode 8. I'm gonna let my folks introduce themselves.
What's up, y'all? This is Bishoy, BLM SAC.
Hey, what's going on? This is Victor from BLM SAC.
Perfect. So it is Friday night. We got some views. I'm surprised because it's Friday night, but the sun is still up. So we're gonna talk about a couple things today. I'm gonna put this out here so that I could try to stick to it. I'm gonna try to talk less today, and I'm gonna try to just let these folks talk more. Bishoy is laughing because he knows I'm probably gonna get opinionated and say something, but I'm gonna try this. But we're gonna talk about a couple things that have happened recently. The first thing that we're gonna talk about is, and I'm gonna try to leave names out. But we were sent an email from an assembly member to co-sponsor a bill. And the bill is, I won't give the name of it, but basically what the bill does is it makes it so that in order to be a police officer in the state of California, you have to either be 25 years of age or have your bachelor's degree. We decided not to put our name on that bill. And so I'm gonna let our folks tell us why. I'm gonna go ahead and go with Victor first. And then we'll go to Bishoy after Victor.
I mean, I just think there's no, it doesn't change anything, right? I think when we look at what's happening as far as police brutality and police deaths to the Black community, we're not saying that it's 19-year-olds who are doing it, right? We're not saying that it's 20-year-olds who are doing it. So it's not necessarily an age restriction that's causing folks that are causing harm to the community, right? We're seeing folks who are veterans. Police department, right? So it's one of those things where it's a reform that really does.
You're freezing up, Victor. Oh. All right, I'm gonna go to you, Bishoy.
Oh, is Victor, you back?
You back, Victor?
I'm on mute.
On mute.
Yeah, I'm back.
Go ahead.
Sorry about that.
Welcome back.
Thanks. It's just a reform that does nothing as far as when it comes to police brutality and when it comes to protecting the community. Like, it's one of those things that seems like it's a good idea, or it just doesn't do anything as far as BLM SAC is concerned. It's not something that's going to move forward or help the Black community at all, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking
what I was specifically talking about before. Yeah, go ahead.
No, my bad, Victor. Go ahead. Sorry, you was lagging a little bit. I was like, oh, that's my bad. Go ahead, Victor.
No, I was just saying before, I don't know if folks heard me, but it's not an age, it's not something that was happening with age that was causing violence to our community, right? Like, it's the culture of policing overall. And so, like, it's just one of those things that's not really founded by any type of data. It's just like, oh, well, if we make it so that, someone is 25 and, they have a a college degree. Like the folks who are killing and murdering our community or brutalizing our community are folks who have been on the police force for years and are immersed in that culture.
100%. I think in the same vein, I agree with that, especially just because like what makes any police reform bill different than the former one, right? And not to say any bill has been ineffective, because I think, right, there have been strides made for specific police reform bills or things that definitely create obstacles for legalized police murder. And at the same time, right, this kind of bill is just one that says, look, we're going to just put a different killer in the same place, right? We're going to put one with a bachelor's degree, but they still a killer at the end of the day, right? It doesn't change anything, right? I think while we do desire things that slow and that slowly cause the digression of police as a whole, right? We can't settle with kind of what's okay, right? And I think this bill is exactly that. As we've discussed, it's like we can't just kind of be happy and celebrate the mediocre, like, oh, great, cool. Now they need to be 25 or have a bachelor's degree. Well, what does that change, right? Many outspoken white supremacists, racists, and folks who enable white supremacists and racists and partake in in racism and white supremacy are very educated, right? I mean, education does not take away from whiteness or white supremacy. Education simply enables it, right? I mean, especially things like higher education, because higher education creates this elitist feeling of, look, I have a degree, look, I'm better than common folks, and it's like, no, that doesn't change anything, right? If folks have come into that system, if they come into an institution like higher education with their racist beliefs, they're going to leave higher education with their racist beliefs 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10 if they white. Let's keep it real. And then, they go into the police force, like Vic said, it's a culture. You can't just say, I'm going to go into a culture, but I'm going to be different than the culture. You're not stronger than an entire force that's been existing longer than you've been around, right? Longer than you and your parents have been around, longer than, number of generations of your family have been around. You can't just make that I'm gonna make a difference from the inside out, right? We got to let go of that ego. And I think things like this kind of almost perpetuate ego. Like, look, oh man, these things are great and we can make changes from within, right? But all it does is it teaches the system, oh, now they know where to pivot from here. Now I just gotta be a little more calculating about how I'm gonna kill Black folks. I just gotta move a little different. I gotta take this right turn instead of this left, right? I gotta accidentally slip and my camera falls off, right? It's a little different than not having one at all, right? It's all just ways of actually teaching the system to get a little smarter and to get a little ahead of us, right? And so for me, these things are pointless. And these are mediocre things. And if we continue to celebrate mediocre things, we as oppressed people are going to be content with mediocre things. And historically, we often get tricked into being okay with those things, right? Oh, right, here's a bone. Here's $15 an hour. Right, we can tell that to you. Right, here's 15 an hour. Go ahead, take it, right? But you still work for somebody and you still don't get healthcare, right? So I just think we got to stop taking these little treats, these trails of crumbs that they leave in us and being like, no, we deserve better. And it's okay to feel that way. It's okay to want better. Right. But
it's
that's
necessary. You inspired me to say something. It's your fault. Plus it also caters to this theory and this state of mind that we have to come out of, not just us as a community, but the system itself. Because people are always talking about bad apples and good cops and bad cops and individualist type things. And it's this whole system that's fucked up. And the system is it doesn't matter if you're a good person. You can do something bad and the system is going to support it. Or you could do something good and the system's going to support it. You'll always be supported no matter what, because you're part of the system. And so to have this idea, oh, they're 25 and older, so they're going to be a better police officer, or they've got a BA from a racist white supremacist educational system, academia, so they're going to do better. I don't, that's still supporting this theory that they need to come out of and start looking at it as a system. When I talked on the panel at the assembly a week ago, That was the first thing I had mentioned, because somebody had said there was a guy that's on the panel who's an assembly member, but he used to be a police officer. And he was saying, well, there's some really good cops and this and that. And, we just got to make sure that the bad ones, this and that. And it's like the first thing I said is we have to stop looking at it like this. We got to look at it like it's a system. So yeah, we can't lean into reforms. We at BLM Sacramento and people that are fighting for Black liberation and equity in the system, or people that are fighting for police change, policing to change. We can't we can't we can't move like that. We can't move in a way of reformists. We have to move like abolitionists. We have to move where we're leaning into actual community, a system, not just a person, not just people, not just individuals, but community. So yeah. All right.
I think you hit it perfectly on that individualist part. Like, we live in a system literally founded on the notion of individualism, right? Like, that's what America stands for, is self-centeredness and individualism, right? That's what consumerism is all about. And I think it goes in that same vein of, like, we look at people solely as individuals, which does not tell the entire narrative of any person, right? I can't look at, even if we want to do it in a positive light, I can't look at somebody simply for their individual moment or their individual action or their individual instance, right? I have to look at them in relation to historical context, to their community, to those who have nurtured them, to those who they have nurtured, right? Like, I think you're absolutely, like, completely right when we're talking about individualism. Like, often it's always somehow on everybody's Facebook and their grandma's Facebook, we see that one police officer that's hooping with 3 Black kids and everybody happy. Look what happened. Look what happened. He hooping, right? It's like, we take a character, right? Because we want to believe that a person can be good. And it's like, I think folks don't realize we can condemn individuals. And I think, like, you as people of color and as Black folks and as Indigenous people, we have every right to condemn individuals as much as we want. We are long overdue for that. And at the same time, doing Black liberation work is about condemning systems, right? Condemning an individual, condemning one person that got a Confederate flag, that's meaningless work. We're condemning systems. We're holding systems on trial, right? Not individuals. I think folks don't realize that because folks sometimes lose that bigger picture.
Yeah, and I just think anybody who goes through the criminal justice system from an academic perspective, like, one of two things: you're going to learn real quick how racist the system is, and how they teach you how the police teach you that they want you to kill people. Like, it's more dangerous for our community to have somebody to go and have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice where they're taught for 4 to 6 years that the system wants them to kill us so that there's not another person to have a witness or to talk back from a narrative perspective. Like, that's what they're taught. That's like it's not. The thing is that we, like you said, we have to stop looking at it as an individual aspect of it. That's just 4 more years of additional training that somebody has to go through that justifies why they look at my community the way that they look at the way they look at my community, and why they act the way they do. So, I mean, to me, it's one of those pointless things where folks who believe somehow, by getting the college degree, you've made this, that's going to be the person playing basketball. Like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that motherfucker either. Like, that's not, I don't like, neither one of them are good to me. To me, it's a marketing ploy. Like, it's not a solution. It's how do you repackage something and make it palatable.
It's like gentrification versus, blatant racism, like hipster racism versus blatant racism. But then also, it's like, if we want to talk about education, this was one of the arguments we had on that assembly committee meeting too, is that, if you're not like we want to promote anybody to be hired from the police to the police departments, we want them to go away. But like, if you're promoting, folks that come in that are supposed to be doing good, they're not going to be the ones that went to college. They're going to be people of color that didn't have the opportunity to go to college, that come in off the streets, that have experience with that lifestyle, that, they can actually reach the people that they're supposed to be, out in the streets protecting and serving, instead of these non-people of white people, non-people of color, these translucent people going into, our communities and policing them with a college degree and a haircut and biased views. So, racially biased views because they have a college degree, because they think that somebody's less than them based on education, which is a white supremacist frame of thinking. So
it further justifies it. I mean, you're right. You know what I mean? It justifies that same mentality. So the person from Rockland who goes to Sac State, who gets his degree, and is 25, now has no touch with the community that they're coming in to police. And all of a sudden I'm paying them $250,000 a year to come in and police. Like that's the problem. Like that's not solving anything when it comes to like it doesn't solve. Period. It just doesn't solve anything.
And higher
It makes it
education
work.
does an amazing job of separating Black folks from other Black folks, right? Like I think when you see Black folks go into higher education, 9 times out of 10, unless they go into a historically Black college or university, they're going to be surrounded by mostly white and Asian folks. That's just the reality of the demographics of colleges within America, right? And when they go, now they're a complete dissonance from Black folks. And once they've gotten an education, once they've gone through this entire reprogramming of their mind, right? And this belief of like, oh, look, I did it. I got out. I could do this. I hustled. I was on my grind for 4 years and now I'm over here and I'm a real estate agent, right? Like they do all this, right? And it's almost like it becomes a condemnation on the communities that they left behind. It's like, look, I did it. I went through it. And where are y'all? Right. And that's why sometimes we see Black and brown police officers be some of the harshest police officers within their own communities. Right. Because there's this feeling of like, I have to look good in front of white people. There's this feeling of like, God, I'm so disgusted by my own people, because if I could do it, you can too. Right. And so I just think it like, if this kind of reform is a way to kind of be like, look, oh, we need more Black and brown folks on the police force, so just go get your education or go, turn 25. It's a ploy, right? It's a ploy to inevitably just divide Black folks from themselves and from their own communities.
that's what this system's been doing from the gate, keeping us separated and divided, wanting to be assimilated, wanting to be included, wanting seats at tables. And then looking at other people as less than if they don't acquire those seats at tables, or if they don't have that Black excellence. Basically. Any other before we go on to the next? All right. So have y'all been watching the George Floyd trial? What do you say? What do you say about it? I mean, not just the trial itself, but even the ingestion of it, watching it. Victor, go ahead first.
I mean, it's complicated. Yeah, I watched the David Chauvin trial. I've been watching some of it live. I've been watching some of it when I need to take a break from it and not watch it live. I've been doing this a long time. Like, you know what I mean? Like this trial is like a continuation for me. Like they all are continuations. Like, I'm old enough to remember seeing Rodney King and watching it with my own eyes, like, and watching the brutality that happened in that case and watching them say that these folks were not guilty. You know what I mean? So I've seen an eruption of different things happen. I think what's unique about this trial is that we're watching police officers and we're watching folks who normally the state would, and you can see this with Chavez, with his attorney. You know what I mean? Like he's used to being buddy with most of these folks and having the softball questions thrown at him, and they're not playing with him at all. They're like, no, this is homicide. This is what this is. And so, it's refreshing to see that type of aspect coming from the state. Like it's what you would want to hear coming from the state. But You know, I'm like, I'm until there's guilty, like, you know, yeah. So there's things that I'm positive that I like about it, but at the same time, I'm waiting for.
You froze again, Victor. You waiting for? Oh,
Um,
oh, there you go. You back.
yeah, yeah. It's just difficult. It's difficult to continue to watch it over and over again and see that, like, yeah. That's my start of, like, that's where it's been with the trial so far.
And I want to apologize. I said the George Floyd trial. That's a big old mistake. Yeah, I don't like that name, Chauvin. So I don't know why, but I apologize. It is not his trial. It is Chauvin's trial. But go ahead, Bishoy.
Yeah, I think there's so many mixed feelings with this trial. Like, one, I think one of the hardest things is to hear and see these mothers come out and that they are watching this trial so closely because it is a representation of their children and their sons and their children who were murdered by police. This is an indictment on all of them. And it sucks. Like, it sounds great. And at the end of the day, it sucks because none of those murderers are indicted, right? And we watching it and put it on the shoulders of one of these murderers while the rest sit there scot-free, right? It's like, I think it's so frustrating because you are seeing folks hope in something that it could happen. Like, I think I'm at this feeling right now that I see a guilty. I see a guilty verdict. I do. I really do, and I think it's especially because the system has gotten smarter to where the folks who normally wouldn't be there talking about, oh no, he fucked up. That is murder. That is homicide. They there, right? And to me, that's even scarier. Only because that's going to cause that mediocre complacency of like, it's getting better. And really, every single player in this game, the lawyers, the judge, all of them should be indicted in this murder. It is not just him. It is an embodiment of all these people, and we see one person that's getting indicted. That's not enough, right? But folks are going to feel that, and that's not to take away from a feeling of victory and a feeling of like, fuck, finally, right? Like, I think that's gonna happen regardless after the verdict, right? Hopefully, it is a guilty verdict. And at the same time, right, it's just something about it also feels like I'm sitting here giving all of my spirit, my heart, my attention to this white man who is simply one of thousands, right? And I find it so frustrating because for me it's like it doesn't matter. And I know that's gonna change. It could change tomorrow. Like, my feelings change every day. Like, I tell my kids, we talking about the trial in class, and I'm like, one day it's like, this is gonna be a great feeling. We're hyped. Next day I'm like, I don't care. We're gonna have another George Floyd. None of this brings him back. None of this keeps his life. This is always the post the trauma. This is always after the fact. This is after the harm, right? We're not doing preventative work. We keep calling for work after everyone's been fucked up. And it's like, how much are we gonna be like, damn, we just got knocked out we getting our ass beat in the first 3 rounds, but it's fine because we can bounce back from the fourth round. It's like, man, I wasn't even trying to be in this fight. I don't know why people throwing punches at me in the first place, right? And it's like, I think it's just so frustrating, and I don't even know if what I'm saying makes sense because in my mind I'm watching the
No, it
trial,
does.
going with my kids, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel. I don't know what to feel. I got to turn it off sometimes because no Black person deserves to be watching this because it's their bodies on trial at the same time, right? It's like we're
Yeah.
all we're all being put on trial. Like, are you enough? We're gonna debate this a little bit. We're gonna see if folks is enough. And it's like, okay, great. The state is telling me that that I shouldn't have someone's knee on my neck. Thank you, I guess. You've been doing it for 400 years, but thank you, I think. I don't, so for me, it's so.
Yeah. I watched it the first 3 days, and that second day, they showed all the different angles. So they showed the video like 4 times because they showed all the different angles of the different body cameras. That was hella hard. But at the same time, I want to see the different angles because I want to be informed. And so you force yourself to like sit through this, but it's trauma. And so the 4th day, I was like, you know what? I need a break. I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna catch up later. You know, and then there's other stuff going on in the world that's traumatizing, you know, locally and in your direct life or whatever. But I did a post on Facebook, on my personal Facebook page, and I talked about this trial, how it's going to be one of 2 things that happens. It's either going to be, you know, we're going to see a guilty verdict, and we might even see a guilty of like manslaughter, which is trash, right? But we're going to see a guilty verdict and we're going to be appeased by it. Or this, everybody's going to learn how fucked up this system is when they see a not guilty verdict after all of these different law enforcement officers have gone on this trial stand and said that Chauvin was wrong and that he shouldn't have done what he did, and that, you know, Floyd did not overdose on drugs, and, you know, everything. And the lawyers in this, they are being very strategic by putting law enforcement on the stand. That has never been done. That is a strategy. That is an airtight, like you can't get no more than that. Like that right there, that's an airtight case. Like nothing can break that. When you got police officers from all over the country, police chief from that department, police chiefs from other states, like coming in, people that are experts on excessive force coming in and saying that this was a strategy, this is what they did, this is what we saw, I heard this, I saw this, and that's what they've been taught to do, and they're doing it, they don't have to. And then you have witnesses that were there, all different variety, shades, colors, ages, like, you know, traumatized, reliving it, youth, reliving it. This is an airtight case. Like in a perfect world, this would be guilty for first degree, and it would be followed up by more guilties in the future. But we know that this is either going to be a token case where somebody gets a guilty verdict and it's not going to be as guilty as it needs to be, or people are going to learn real quick, all those optimists, they're going to learn real quick that we had an airtight case and we still didn't win. And so now we got to burn it down.
I mean, yeah. I mean, essentially, I mean, yeah, that's essentially, that's what it is, right? Like, you know, I mean, and I hear Bashoy too, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's great. But the thing is, I think this goes back to the whole point. It's like, yeah, when you got police officers, you got that one police officer, you know what I mean? Or you got the police sergeant who's coming from LA to talk about like, it's great that these individuals are talking about how that was wrong and talking about how they don't train it. But it shows for sure that the whole system is fucked up. Because even with that one person saying, this ain't right, this wasn't what somebody should have did. Like there's either it's going to show that folks, when they have that blue uniform, can really get away with whatever the fuck they want to get away with, and that nobody can stop them. Which in that case, then yeah, it's gonna burn. Like it's not gonna be, because George Floyd set a different momentum when it hit the streets. Like that, it didn't just spark in one place. And that's the thing. The place about where we are at right now is that every city felt George Floyd, because every city we've already had our own George Floyd at some point. We've already seen these trials. We've already gone through all of the shit. We've already been told that they don't give a fuck. Like we've all been fed up with it. So this is that pause break, right? Like this is how I feel. Like they're like, yeah, we're gonna give you these 8-week long trial, this 10-day trial to cool down. This is the cooling period. You know what I mean? But in real life, if this doesn't come back with a guilty verdict, I don't know what happens across America, because there's no choice but to be out in the streets at that point. I'm just keeping like, because if I'm not out in the streets, then what y'all did for 10 weeks, 8 weeks is y'all took a black body and put it as a form of entertainment. Like, you made my whole community have to relive and traumatize themselves. You made every mother who has lost a child to police brutality have to relive that experience, hoping that they get justice off of the person who called out for his mama. Like, you watched that man die in 4K with every goddamn angle you could possibly see for a person murdering a person. Like, that man does not deserve to breathe. Like, Chavez does not deserve to breathe anymore. And I'm not even a person who believes in just, but that's evil. Like, that's an evil motherfucker who can sit his knee on the neck of a man for 9 minutes and watch the life of, like, he deserves to die. Like just this trial's not enough. Like, it's just not enough. At the end of it, I'm hopeful that he's guilty, but he deserves the worst treatment that a person could possibly get it throughout their whole life, and he should reincarnate into another life of shit.
Death is too easy. Death is too easy.
Way too easy.
Yeah, to me, I'm like, hey, put him in a dungeon and torture him every day. Like, that's what he, like, that's what he deserves. I'm waiting for our elected officials to start taking the side of the people as a performative way to deter what's going to happen if there's a non-guilty. I'm waiting for Mayor Steinberg to be like, oh, George Floyd needs justice. I'm waiting for that moment because he's afraid of what's going to happen if he doesn't look like he's on the side of the people. And I didn't mean to like interrupt anybody's time, but Shoy, did you want to say anything?
No, I was just thinking, you said if it doesn't come back a guilty verdict, folks are going to need to learn and learn quick that we got to burn it down. If it comes back as a guilty verdict, folks need to learn and learn quick that we need to burn it down. Like, it don't matter what verdict comes out here. It don't matter what verdict comes out. Folks need to realize very quickly that it's got to get burned down, and we got to be the ones to burn it down and watch it burn and celebrate then, not celebrate right here, right? And I think it's almost, if it comes back, like right now, I'm just thinking, if it comes back as a guilty verdict, I think it's almost like a I don't even know, like, it's almost like they're laughing in our face. Like, that's what it's gonna feel like, because you telling me, for now, we'll just take just a small sample size from 2014, right, till now, 7 years, very small sample size, right? You take that, you telling me all these officers, all these folks who are responsible for the murder of Black bodies, right, and of Black people, you telling me all of them got off, and you gonna, this one, right? Like, what makes it different? What makes this different? Because you decided that? Like, I would be even more, if I was, I never want to speak on the feelings of any mother or any family that's lost any child from police brutality and police murder. But I would be more upset. I'd be like, why is any other life more important than my son's or than my child, right? My child is just as important to get justice, right? And so for me, it's anything that comes out of this case is a spit in the face. Anything.
It's all performative. It's all performative.
Exactly.
It's because the country went in on, the people went in on the country, and so now they're responding and they're performing to make it look like they are going to do the right thing this time.
Exactly.
That's it. It's still happening though, daily. Like, it's still,
Exactly.
there's still people dying. There's people that died after him.
Yeah, like, and I think it's a good way to cover tracks. That's, America is so good at covering their tracks. And it's just like Breonna Taylor, right? That the whole situation that came out with that, they didn't even mention her name in that press conference. All that is forgotten with a guilty verdict. Trayvon Martin, all that is forgiven and forgotten. Every case in between is forgiven and forgotten because we got him, right? And it's going to be held as a prize. Look, we did it. You can't get mad at us now. We did it, right? And I hope folks realize that this would be the worst time to get complacent after something like this.
There's so many people that have been forgotten. I mean, even in Sacramento, like we have a whole list of people. Marshall Miles had 6 officers on his body while he was restrained and saying that he could not breathe. And, it breaks my heart when his mom is like, how come they talking about this person across the country and they're not talking about my son? And it happened right here in Sacramento. And it's the same thing. Brandon Smith's mom called me. She's been watching it. It's triggering these mamas. Watching this is triggering these mamas. And she's like, I gotta fight for my son. I gotta do something. I'm the only one that's gonna do it. If I don't do it, nobody's gonna do it. Because she has been mourning still. It's been hard for her to come out. But she's like, I watched that video, and that's the same thing that happened to my boy. It's all the same thing, like you said.
And I promise you, if you ask anyone in that courtroom, do you know who Marshall Miles is? Not one knows the name, right? And it speaks to it. It speaks much louder than what they say in that courtroom every day. Because it doesn't, again, they're just completely doing away with the importance of every other person who's been murdered and who's been systematically just destroyed by police officers. And it's like, you don't even know their names. You over here think you're doing the right thing. You don't know their names. Right. So
I think it just shows incrementally, right? Like it's two things. One, I think it shows the incremental of like this system in America, right? That saw Black folks as 3/5 of a person. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like every time we get to one of these trials where we're hoping to even be validated by the state as a person, you know what I mean? Like, they took a person's life. Like, and we've seen so many aspects of where the police have taken Black life and they haven't even justified or seen it as a person, as a life. Like, this is another, to me, this trial is about recognizing Black folks, Black men, Black women as people who deserve to live and be seen as life. That's worth looking at criminal prosecution and not just looked at as property of the state and given civil awards. So I think that to me is the one thing that changes with a guilty verdict. But the other thing I think is problematic, just like you said, when you talked about the performative nature of politicians, right? I think that's the shit that had me very upset. You know, when you see politicians taking the knee for George Floyd, and you seeing all the all of these performative measures that are happening from politicians, but they have the power to rewrite legislation. And we're talking like real legislation that says that, you know, that like to break up police unions, right? To make it so that we don't have to that when there's real change that needs to happen at the police force, that it actually happens. They have the ability to make real police oversight commissions that are community led. Like, they have the ability to make these changes, and they've been so slow to make those changes, or not to make those changes at all, because as these politicians take these knees, are the people who are saying, who are been in office where the Joseph Manns have died, where the Daisy Flanans have died. Like, they have blood on their hands in their own cities. You know what I mean? And the performance to me is so disgusting when you've seen them reward people for Black death. Like, they get no cookies. Like, there's no politician in Sacramento that has been at the level of where they could really make influence or change when it comes to the police. At least over the last 10 to 12 years, that can say anything. Like, they're all guilty as hell. Like, that whole system is guilty, but they're definitely guilty. They have no right to be, like, they have work to do, but it's performative. Everything that they do, without a piece of legislation, or without them leveraging every power of what they could do to change the system on their part, that's all performative. That's like the mayor being at his house for fucking 3 weeks, 4 weeks, talking about, oh, wow, I don't know what to do. Or, like, you know what to do. Get your ass back to City Hall and go to work. Like, you know how to write legislation. You've been at every level here. Do it, make it happen.
And then also it goes into the individualist thing. Like if we're looking at just what happened to George Floyd and we're not looking at everything else that's happened to everybody else, and we're only handling one issue the right way, then we're handling things in an individualist frame of mind, and we're continuing that mindset instead of addressing the actual problem. Like the whole problem needs to go on trial. It needs to be a class action, something or another, but the whole problem needs to go on trial so that we could look at it as a collective and get justice for all these families. And I don't even know if that sounds realistic, but that's just how I feel. Like they got us looking at individuals again. They keep bringing us back to individual situations, individual people, individual circumstances, and they're distracting us from the collective issue. And they're giving us something to giving us, crumbs, saying, okay, here's something for this individual, even though we got a whole bunch of individuals. If we got crumbs for all the individuals, like if we got all the crumbs, like we would have mounds of crumbs. Like it'd be ridiculous because so many Black people have been killed by law enforcement since the beginning of time. Like,
because that's what police that's what police were invented to do, right? Like there's no crumbs that can be given when that's what police. The thing is at the root, it all needs to come down. Like that, like there, it gets into that idea of defunding the police. It gets back to that notion of what we talked about first, like that whole system. But like, stop paying these people millions of dollars to sit in cars and come and fuck with my community. Invest that money back into my community. Like, I don't want these motherfuckers rolling around the streets, getting paid millions of dollars to do this shit that they do to George Floyd or to any other Black person inside of the community. It's not that nobody is entitled to drive up and down in police neighborhoods that they have no fucking investment in, and none of them have investment in our neighborhoods. And that whole system of idea of warehousing, enslaving people, like the whole idea of slavery and what they do, even if justice is served and a motherfucker has to go be a slave inside of jail, that shit's fucked up too. So like every aspect of this system, every aspect of this system is fucked up when it comes to Black people. Like even with a 100% guilty charge, I don't like that man deserves worse than anything that it's not okay for what he did. But from us, that whole system isn't a verdict that helps us get out of any of the situation, because the police force itself needs to be not only defunded, but it needs to be, and I don't mean reformed, but it needs to be reimagined. The idea of folks having no rights in jail and being slaves in jail, and that, like, all of that needs to be reimagined. And until folks are talking about, until folks in Congress are talking about it, until your city council is talking about it on that level, all of it's performative and reform to me. All of it is just trying to keep making money off of Black people and having Black death be a form of entertainment, because that's the only thing that I can see that white people or the state sees this shit as now, because it's been too many people. This is a lynching in 4K. Like, this is a 4K lynching to me, where if nothing happens to that, if nothing happens at the end of the day to these people who are lynching these Black men and women and they're on film, this is a 4K lynching to me that happens, and we got to watch it in all kind of angles. It pisses me off. The whole aspect of it pisses me off.
We got 10 minutes. So I'm gonna go to the next topic. Yeah. So there's a father in Sacramento. I don't even remember what school it was, but it's in the San Juan district, I guess. And they just started having ethnic studies, and the teacher, who was a brown woman, I don't know specifically her ethnicity. I could say Mexican, but I'm not sure. But she basically started teaching about the Black Lives Matter movement to her class. And the father complained to her and said that should not be part of ethnic studies. It's not part of history. And he doesn't want his kid learning that. We only know about it because the media, he reached out to the media for media attention on this. and the media reached out to us to get our perspective, and then they aired the story. But the story was aired kind of crappy, and I didn't expect that from ABC 10, because they gave a lot of airtime to this dad and his racism, and they didn't give much airtime to the counter conversation. And it looked validating, in my opinion. But later on, Kempa, he's a reporter with the River City, Voices of River City. He posted a picture that he found a dude wearing a jacket with a noose on it and a Confederate flag filter over it, and said, he tweeted to ABC, he's like, this is a person you're gonna give airtime to attack BLM? But let's talk about it. Let's talk about this daddy and his daughter and this whole, yeah. I'm gonna let Bishoy go first.
No, I think it's just a joke. Like it's so crazy to me. One, we keep giving this man airtime, which is hilarious. The fact that he going right to the news station, he knew he was getting. He was in it right for the. He probably going to his friends who all probably live in Rio Linda and probably all drinking beers, and he like, he watched me at 5, right? It's so funny, right? Like it's so fun, and they come up with the most amazing reasons to say, they bounce around to say without saying I'm racist, and they try to really say everything else. Oh, I don't believe it doesn't go with our family values. It doesn't go with your family values to see black people as black people. And like, oh, I didn't shit. Okay, just say it. Just say it. You don't think black people are human? Just say it. Say it. Like, go ahead, let us know. Right? It's way more respectful, right? And then it covers that. Sometimes they bring in religion, and it doesn't go with my religion. Well, then fuck your religion. Like, oops. Like, I just think it's so amazing. And I think it also leads into something that we talked about earlier. To think that it is just old folks that are racist as hell. Because in that interview, they also talked to the little girl. All right. And I'm not for, any kids bullying kids. I'm a teacher, so I'm not saying somebody should be bullying her, but I'm saying I can see her ass getting beat at school. Like just the way she was so confident how she's speaking. It's a reiteration of these things happen young. It's a joke to think they don't. And it's even more dangerous at that ignorance to think that young people don't perpetuate this, because they are the ones that keep it going. And they're the 10, 11, 12, 13-year-olds that grow up to be 25 and jump on the police force, right? Like they're the same. Like I'm not sure what what generation you're thinking, but it's the same people. And I just think this dad is just, as a teacher, if a parent said that to me, I probably would have sent back an email, LOL, you out your goddamn mind. Like I'm not like, and I think the school should have backed anything that teacher said. The teacher was amazing to even respond in the way that she did, or I don't know, the way that they did, right? I wouldn't tolerate it. I just wouldn't. Like, I'm like, well, that's too bad. It's my class. You want to go ahead and teach your daughter what you want to teach her, have her learn with you. That simple. And so it's amazing. And when it came out that filter with the Confederate flag, it's like, I would have put my money on it. The money I don't have, I would have put money on it. Like, it's just like, come on. So I don't know. It's absurd. And I found the whole thing just laughable.
The school did have her back, which was good. I'm trying to see if I can find this email so I could read the response. My little search feature is not working.
Right, but that was my piece. Like, even if she said, "Get the fuck out of my email," like school should have been like, we're with her. Right.
Well, for sure they should have had her back. And while you're looking for that email, I just think about, like, man, I wish I could withdraw my kid from history course that teaches European history. Like, can I just say that that's damaging for them and I don't want them to learn it? Like, but that's a requirement. my kid has to
You're cutting out, Victor. Victor. T-Pain.
and if they don't pass,
Victor, fix your phone. Move it around or something. Oh, wow. I'm still looking for this thing. I don't want to interrupt Victor, but at the same time, we can't hear you at all. Oh, snap. Okay, he'll be back. I think, maybe. Okay. T-Pain. Oh, there he is. He's coming back. I'm still
My
looking.
bad, y'all. I'm sorry.
That's okay. What were you saying though? Say it again because we didn't hear none of it.
Oh, no, you just don't want to talk no more.
How is the signal changing when he's not even moving?
They're like, they don't want that out.
Oh, there it
Can
is.
you hear me?
Now we can hear you. We just heard and they don't want that out. That was all we heard.
Yeah, I was just saying, you know, when we and I'm like, I don't want my kids to know European history. I don't want them to learn it, or I don't want to hear the whitewash down aspect of it. I'm done.
No, it's okay. We heard European history and we heard whitewashed as something, and it came back. So I stopped laughing. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying the caucasity. Like as a Black parent, when I'm like, hey, I don't want my kid to learn about European history because I don't find that to be enriching to them. Like that's a requirement in school. So the fact that this person is spending time learning about other aspects and other points of how like folks are affected by the decisions that overarchingly European folks have made, like white people have made. Like I don't care about what this man has to like what his request is for his daughter not to learn about aspects of history of how his people have harmed. Like she need that like that needs to be what she learns about from the first time she wakes up in the morning till she goes to bed. Like she needs to learn about how she needs to change from where her father is and the politics of her father. And that's the fear of having those types of aspects in class.
Are you still talking? Okay.
No, I'm not talking about.
Okay. I'm having really bad luck finding the response, and I'm sad because I wanted to share the response that the teacher gave, which was beautifully said, and it was said with such restraint, but it still cracked his face. Maybe if I go into I could share this picture of this teacher. Okay, so his email said, my name is Garen Bratcher. I am Ella's father. I'm writing this email today to inform you of my daughter's participation. My daughter will not be participating in any subject matter in regards to the BLM movement. It is my belief that this is not a subject matter that should be taught in schools, especially to young children in this early time of their teenage years. This is not an organization that is part of history, nor is it a subject that should be brought into current events. This matter is a confusing subject and can possibly make a child confused on their social standing in the community. This is a racial concept and organization that contradicts our family's core values. The group that is being taught is a radical group geared towards a racial standard that does not exist in the United States today. They should not be pushed on students to have to learn this subject matter. If she is to be forced to learn this, then you all have failed these students in a statement that has resonated through all levels of education. Only you can be in charge of your education. So if in fact you force her to learn the subject matter, you are telling students that they're in charge of their education as long as it's what you tell them to learn. I do not want her grade to suffer because of this, so I respectfully ask that another assignment is created for her and any other student that wishes not to participate in this. Thank you. And then the teacher responded, hello, Mr. Bratcher. I have attached the ethnic studies framework that guides my instruction and highlights the sections that guide this unit. This framework comes from the Department of Education, an emphasis on 2 essential questions in ethnic studies. How has race and ethnicity been constructed in the United States, and how has it changed over time? And how do race and ethnicity continue to shape the United States contemporary issues? The Black Lives Matter unit was chosen for these reasons, to draw connections from past social movements within the Black community, as well as it being a contemporary issue. I am not grading students based on their opinions, but rather their critical thinking skills and historical thinking skills. The purpose of the lesson yesterday was to analyze and summarize a text and draw comparisons and differences from the past. The only way I modify or accommodate an assignment is for our students who have individual education plans and special education, but in no way do I change the content of my lesson. Thank you for your time. I will also add the Common Core and social justice standards, all with the district approval, and she gave him some links. So, and then I don't have the statement from the district, but they gave a statement that was in support of the teacher. But yeah, that was a lot.
You know, he is right about one thing. I gotta give him that. Looking back at his thing, he said, the group that is being taught is a radical group geared towards a racial standard that does not exist in the United States today. Right. Like, you're damn right it doesn't exist today, and that's exactly
That's why we fighting.
You're not wrong there. But it's just laughable, right? Even the like part where he's like, you know, you're telling kids that they're in charge of their own education. Come on, we know damn well kids are not in charge of their own education. That's not what that education system does in the first place. You know, don't try to bring it to this notion of like, wait, you said kids are, you know, all they get to choose how they learn and what they learn. Since when?
Right.
No one to do that. That's just the problem with education, right? So I don't know.
And he seems to be afraid that his daughter is going to, you know, jump on board. And it's funny because when you saw the clip, you see her and she doesn't look like she comes from that type of family, but when she's with her dad, she looks like she comes at like, you know what I mean? But she looks like she might go to college one day and then maybe become a police officer. So like, you know, but you're right. What you said earlier about it being our youth, a lot of people don't understand, like it's not dying off. It is passing through generations of people just like it has forever. It's not going away unless we, you know, force it to go away. But I'm gonna move on. We're coming to the end now. It's 8:02. I do want to give a shout out. So the folks that are in this space I don't think, do you know Brandon Victor? Did you know, not Brandon Waters with our group, but Brandon Pickett that was killed?
I did not get a chance to meet him.
Okay, so the people, I'm the only one in this group right now that knows Brandon, but he has done a lot with us. In 2018, we had a series of open mics throughout the summer, and he performed at a couple of them. He's a hood dude. He's not in activism, but whenever I would ask him to pull up, he pulled up. When we had our protest at Oak Park Market and we walked to the police station, he had injured his back with his boat and he still was up there with his 2 boys holding him, you know, being his crutches while he marched with us. But he's also a good friend of mine, and he was killed about a week ago at McClatchy Park. And I just wanted to give him, I don't know, I just wanted to say his name today because there's been a string of inter-community violence that's been happening, and it's been killing a lot of our youth. And it's just really different because Brandon, he was in that life, but like he had got locked up, got out, and then he got a job in construction. he started making videos, live videos that were positive and telling people, like, he did a shout out Saturday video where he shouted out all these great things and this great people and telling everybody he loves them, and you can't love nobody till you love yourself. And just, you know, really positive, really big energy, really good father to his babies. So I just wanted to lift his name tonight, because he was a friend of our chapter. So Brandon Pickett.
Shay.
Yep. All right, we're gonna end this. Everybody enjoy your Friday evening. Go have a drink. Go smoke a something or another. Go eat a something or another. Do your thing.
Appreciate y'all.
But this was good. It was a good conversation. Hopefully Cece will be with us next time. I'm talking shit, Cece, if you're listening. All right. Have a good night, y'all.
Peace out.